Is LeBron the GOAT?
Okay, that's a big question.
Oh man, just heavy hitter
Look, I
starting
have
off.
my answer for it, but nobody. It's really rare that somebody just comes out and like right at the beginning of an interview is like,
Yeah.
let's talk goats. My answer is yes. My philosophy is just at that level between LeBron and Jordan, it's ultimately going to be a matter of preference, right? And it's going to matter who do you have on the team, who's the coach, what era are we talking, yada yada yada. But the way that I look at it is, LeBron checks the most boxes. You can play the most ways when you have LeBron. LeBron is the best at lifting up a certain type of player, which I think is the type of player that you want to have if you're building a championship team. That said, like, there's nothing wrong with picking Michael Jordan, and I really dislike the debate because what really frustrates me most is that when Jordan fans talk about the debate, it's always just like, oh, he's 6-0, LeBron's 4-6. And I just kind of go like, okay, just we're going to ignore context then. I could go through this and say LeBron's beaten better teams in the finals and the longevity matters. And, there are a bunch of different ways you could look at this. But what drives me crazy is that when we talk about this, it's never Jordan has this skill and LeBron doesn't, or this is something that one of them does and the other doesn't. It's always just coming down to these contextless accolades where, like, Jordan won one more MVP. He never lost in the finals, 2 more titles. And you never really have to apply the era standards to that. You never actually talk about who they are as players. So for the past few years, I've been really rooting heavily for LeBron to win 2 more titles just so we can take championships out of the equation and actually talk about who they are as players. And I think that's a much more interesting conversation because they're fundamentally so different, right? Jordan is obviously the great isolation scorer, the great post scorer, the great, probably a better one-on-one man defender. LeBron's probably a better team defender. He's more athletic. Now, he's a higher volume three-point shooter. Jordan, it's kind of hard just given the era to really say, like, we don't know what he would have been if he would have, played an era where threes were more common. LeBron is obviously the way better passer. He's the better rebounder. I think these are much more interesting discussion points, but nobody ever talks about them, right? It always just comes down to like, oh, Jordan was the hooper. Like, Jordan was the killer. He's 6-0 in the finals. And I'm like, you're not actually saying anything when you say that. You're just saying platitudes. So I go with LeBron. I'm fine with either choice. My one requirement, if I'm going to engage in a conversation like that, is you got to come at me with like an actual basketball opinion. Don't just spout stuff from the Wikipedia page.
The thing about the whole GOAT debate that I've found is a lot of people just cherry pick stats to kind of support whichever side they're on. And that's what you are going to get with any type of debate. I don't think there's ever going to be like a clear-cut answer. Everybody's always going to have their own opinion. And the thing is, you mentioned context. That's the thing. They're in different eras. The three-point shot was not as prominent in Jordan's era. It's really hard to get that concrete answer. That's why it's a debate. That's why it's always going to be an argument. And I can't really fault either side either. I agree with you.
Yeah, it really comes down to this. What kind of basketball do you value? What kind of team do you want to build? If you want one person who's going to lift up everybody around them through playmaking and through just the overall team atmosphere, then
you would
take
choose
LeBron,
Steve. No, you would choose Steve Nash.
Well, okay, but that's different conversation.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Listen, between the two, like, if you want that kind of player, if you value that sort of basketball, then take LeBron. If you're somebody who thinks ultimately, like, what matters is getting a bucket when you need it most, then take Jordan. I don't think either view is wrong. There are situations where you'd want either one of those guys, but ultimately, like, that's subjective. The numbers are going to be subjective because they played in different eras. Like, you just go down through the list. All I ask, if I'm willing to engage with anybody in good faith on this topic, all I ask is that when you talk about it, you talk about basketball and not just like, I'm going to read the Wikipedia page and this guy's 6-0 in the finals, that guy's 4-6. Oh, yeah. Like, no, like, come at me with an actual basketball opinion. All I ask.
I like that. I haven't heard that much, honestly, Carter.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And we'll stop talking about it right now. Let's